Our attention to the home front, still talking about football matters. The Nigerian Football Federation has appointed former Under-17 World Cup winner Manu Garba as the head coach of the Under-17 national team known as the Golden Eaglets. Garba previously led the Golden Eaglets to Nigeria's fourth World Cup glory at the 2013 edition of the FIFA Under-17 World Cup in UAE. His Golden Eaglets team at the time included Kelechi Iheanacho, Taiwo Awoniyi, Isaac Success, among others. Now, the former Nigerian international will immediately resume the role and take charge of the team's preparations for next month's WAFU B Under-17 Championship taking place in Ghana. And for Garba, Manu Garba, you all know, is not a stranger to that role. As I said earlier, he led the team to the FIFA World Cup glory in 2013. And the names he tutored at the time are names that we're quite familiar with when it comes to the Super Eagles fold, from Kelechi Iheanacho down to Taiwo Awoniyi. The Under-17 has produced so many top stars for the national team, and we can always mention these names. It's not just Kelechi Iheanacho or Taiwo Awoniyi. You know quite well as well that Victor Osimhen, the reigning CAF African Footballer of the Year, was also a product of the Under-17. So it's all about developmental football, catching them young, as the saying goes, and more importantly, being able to, get the very best of the players in terms of developing them so that they can fulfill their football potentials. It will be interesting to see how this pans out, especially with Manu Garba back at the helm of affairs for the Golden Eaglets. WAFU B Under-17 Championship taking place in Ghana is his first assignment. That tournament will be next month, and we'll see how he's able to steer the lads back to definitely glory days, as it were. Now, joining me to discuss this is Nigerian Under-19 coach who is based in the United States. I'm talking about Michael Inan. He's also an applicant for the vacant Super Eagles role, as it were. Michael Inan, good evening. It's good to have you on the show.
Yeah, it's good to be on the show. Good to be here.
Thank you so much for joining us. Let's delve into it as quickly as we can. The Nigerian Football Federation has appointed Manu Garba, or reappointed, if you want to say, considering he's been on the job several times. Manu Garba back at the job for the Under-17, the Golden Eaglets. This is a man who you can say has seen it and done it all, winning, the FIFA Under-17 World Cup. When you heard of the news, what was your first impression concerning his reappointment?
Yeah, it seems like there was some consistency in that age group. My hope is that we start to see a better consistency of players starting to go through the network. So from him to the U20s, and then ultimately the goal always has to be the senior team. So consistency is good in that area, but I hope it actually produces players that are going to be fit for the senior team. That's the most important aspect at this point.
Okay, let's now look at the Super Eagles role, because that's one that you're interested in and invested in as well. And we know that Nigeria has a plethora of superstars plying their trade in various European leagues. In the German Bundesliga, for example, Victor Boniface is doing it with Bayer Leverkusen and is on the verge of winning a historic German title right there with them. We saw him midweek get a goal in the Europa League against West Ham United. How impressed are you about the caliber of talents that we have at the Super Eagles?
Yeah, I think it's quite evident, especially in the attacking areas. We know we have two of maybe the top 10 strikers in the world with Boniface and Osimhen. And then obviously they're accompanied by very talented wingers that are playing at the highest level in the world as well. With good balance in the midfield and strong defenders, this team's potential is limitless. It's just important that the dynamic of the players are brought together and we're able to make the exception on the pitch and make sure they're getting the winning results, maybe a little bit more offensive than they've been in the past. That's what I would like to see for the Super Eagles.
Okay, let's talk about, players now. We know quite well that some Nigerian players or some players that are eligible to play for the Nigerian national team are playing their trade with other nations, and that those who are yet to commit to national team football. If appointed as the next Super Eagles manager, will you decide to lure some of those foreign players who are eligible to play for the Super Eagles and are good enough? Will you lure them to play for the Super Eagles, or you decide to look inwards in terms of the Nigerian Professional Football League to look at the players who can make it through to the Super Eagles?
I think one thing that's important, and I know Nigerians have strong opinions on this and emotions, but I don't think we should limit who should be available for the Super Eagles. If you're an indigent and you're local, or you're in the diaspora and you have a parent or two parents that are Nigerian, and you feel Nigerian and you have Nigerian blood, you should be eligible for the team. But of course, I'm a big believer in the NPFL. I think there's some standards that need to improve, but I think for the sake of the league, they always need to be putting players in the senior team as well. So I'd be open to both players from the diaspora that want to play for their motherland, fatherland, and then I also be open to NPFL players. I think there's no need to shut the door on any of these players.
Okay, your critics have deemed you a youth coach, considering the experience you have, especially with the under-19 side in the United States, that those who think you are not good enough to handle the Super Eagles in terms of, the experience and maturity needed for that top-level job. So my question to you is simple. What's your reaction to these submissions? Are you just good enough for grassroots football and developmental football? And how do you respond to those criticisms that you're not good enough to handle top-level national team football?
Yeah, I think people that would try to frame me in that capacity also they must have an agenda of someone who they support. I've been in the national team with the U.S. for 2 years. The 5 years previous to that, I was coaching senior team professional football. Yeah, I have over 100 matches in the United States coaching in the second division. So I've coached 17 years in total. So 5 of those years have been dedicated. Over 100, I think 103 games I've coached at the professional level prior to this job, so people can't frame me as a youth coach. I have a vast experience in youth, of course. I've coached the best players in the United States. Even the U20 players are also playing senior team football. They're playing in MLS. Some of my players from the last camp that I've had in Morocco, I have players in Europe. I have players in Barcelona, Werder Bremen, Parma, Italy, Freiburg. I have players from all over the world that play in first-team football, even at the U20 level. But we can't dismiss the fact that I've been coaching 5 years at a high level in the United States. And I did a little bit of research. My budget in the second division of the USL was $2 million. And so some of these players were on 6 figures US dollars. And then I saw that recently the highest paid players in NPFL, $800-something a month. So the resources I've been working with in terms of players far outweigh what some other candidates may be experiencing in NPFL or other. So I've been working at a pretty high level when you think in terms of budgeting, in terms of the age demographic that I've been working at for 5 years. It can't be discounted, and I refuse to be framed that way, because I have so much experience to give to Nigerian football.
Okay, we'll definitely wish you the very best in terms of your application for the Super Eagles job, and hope that we get the very best of hands to pilot our Super Eagles to glory. We came so close at the African Cup of Nations. We definitely want to do better at the next edition of the African Cup of Nations. Michael Inan, the under-19 coach of the United States, thank you so much for your time on the show this evening.
Thank you for having me, sir. Talk soon.
Thank you so much.